In today's video, we are going to look at how to find a square root of I, where I is equal to the square root of negative 1. Now we need to find the square root of the square root of negative 1. Don't forget to subscribe, share and like my video for more information about mathematics. Now we said that I is equal to square root of negative 1. Therefore we need to find the square root of negative 1. Are we together? Now to achieve that, we are going to use the idea of De Moivre's theorem, and we shall let a z to be equal to I. Yes, and we shall add a 0, because even if we add a 0, it causes nothing on our z. Are we together? And this complex number will be purely imaginary. Purely imaginary, reason being the real part is 0. Now we shall sketch the complex number, and this is the real axis and this is the imaginary axis, and it is a 1 on the real axis, or it is a 0 on the real axis, and it's a 1 on the imaginary axis. So we shall move from the positive real axis up to the point on the imaginary axis, and we shall measure the angle, which is a 90. Therefore the argument is pi out of a 2. So we shall also need to find the radius, and radius we said that it is just a root of x squared plus y squared. Are we together? And r is equal to, we say that x is 0, we square it, plus y is a 1, we square it, and we take the root. Therefore r will be equal to 1 unit. Is that okay? Now since we have that one, we shall represent our z in terms of polar form, and in polar form we say that it is z is equal to r cos theta plus I sin what? Theta. Is that okay? So z is equal to, r is 1, cos theta is pi out of 2 plus I sin pi out of 2. Is that okay? Now we need to find the roots of z, and by use of De Moivre theorem, it tells us that if we want the root of z, it's just simple as saying r power half cos of the argument, which is pi out of 2, plus 2 pi k divided by 2 plus I sin of pi out of 2, which is the argument, plus 2 pi k divided by 2. We have to know that k is equal to 0 and 1, because we need 2 roots. Is that okay? So we shall say that for k is equal to 0, so the first root will be r is 1, so we have cos of pi out of 2 plus 2 pi of 0 out of 2 plus I sin pi out of 2 plus 2 pi of 0 divided by 2. So z 1 of half is equal to what is cos of pi over 2 plus 2 pi 0 out of 2. So we shall know that this one it will vanish to 0, and we shall remain with pi out of 2 divided by 2, which is cos pi out of a 4, and plus I sine pi out of 2 divided by 2, which is a pi out of a 4. And our first root of z will be, what is cos of pi out of 4? Yes, it is 1 out of root 2. Plus, what is sine pi out of 4? It's also 1 out of root 2. And that one shall be our first root. Now, if we need a second root, k will be a 1. And the second root will be cos of pi out of 2 plus 2 pi of 1 divided by 2 plus I sine of pi out of 2 plus 2 pi of 1 divided by a 2. And the second root will be, what is pi out of 2 plus 2 pi? This is cos of 5 pi out of 4. Are we together? Then plus I sine of 5 pi out of 4. And if we press our calculator, cos 5 pi out of 4 is negative 1 out of root 2. And then if we place also sine pi out 5 sine pi out of 4, it is also negative 1 out of root 2. We shall conclude that the square roots of z, where z is equal to 1, where z is equal to I, 1, we shall have the first root as 1 out of root 2 plus I root 2. Also z2, which is the second root, will be negative 1 out of root 2 minus I out of root 2. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned.